Hi there, we're making the fast-paced roguelite dungeon crawler Ancient Dungeon VR. We released our game into early access 5 years ago and have since been releasing content updates as we make our way towards the full 1.0 release. In our game, you explore the Ancient Dungeon and fight monsters through immersive physics-based combat, which you can do either solo or multiplayer with up to 4 people at once, trying to get out of the dungeon with your lives in hand and treasures in tow. Today we are incredibly excited to unveil some of the new content that we've been working on. You're going to see the latest relics, augments, and an early look at the next dungeon floor that we are adding. And this video is only going to be the first, so if you want to follow the development of Ancient Dungeon, the best way to do so is subscribing to this channel, and if Ancient Dungeon interests you, the game is available to buy right now on SteamVR, MetaQuest, and PlayStation VR. And as a fun little game, we've even hidden some game keys within this video, so keep your eyes peeled for those. Ancient Dungeon originally launched with 5 linear dungeon floors: the Overgrown Gatehouse, the Infested Dungeon, the Forgotten Library, the Luminous Mines, and at last the Beast's Cradle. Then we wanted to add some variety to the dungeon, so that's why we implemented alternate floors, letting you choose which path you'd want to take. The Noxious Sewers was added as an alternate floor to the Infested Dungeon, and we took extra care to make sure the sewers were equally, if not more, disgusting than the Infested Dungeon. And the Luminous Depths was added as an alternate floor to the Gloaming Mines, with the Gloaming Mines themselves being a rework of the Luminous Mines. These floors contrast each other through their lighting and moods. While the Gloaming Mines has winding, narrow, dark hallways, the Luminous Depths feature huge rooms, waterfalls echoing off the walls, and everything is lit up by the glowing crystals found within. And recently, we've begun work on the next floor coming to Ancient Dungeon, which will be an alternate floor to the very first floor, the Overgrown Gatehouse. We're calling it the Sunken Courtyard, and so far we've made 2 enemies which we are excited to showcase. First of all, I'd like to introduce you to the latest addition to the slime family, the Float Slime. These little guys have organic plant material growing inside them, and a flower blooms on top of their heads, which they use to glide down and attack you after they jump. And secondly, we've got the Pearl Floret, an analog to the bloom plant found in the Overgrown Gatehouse. The Pearl Floret is an unassuming little plant that fires projectiles once it realizes prey is nearby, and you'll have to keep a keen eye out for them, as they could not only be on the floor, but even the walls and ceiling as well. We can't wait for you to meet these new enemies and more to come in the Sunken Courtyard when it's ready. We're also currently working on one of the biggest additions ever to Ancient Dungeon alongside the Sunken Courtyard development. Stay tuned to find out what this feature is, as we have a little tease for you later on in this devlog. But before that, we're making some changes to how the stats are displayed, because alongside with the latest weapon combo, the Flail and Bomb, we introduced a new variable in damage calculation behind the scenes: critical hit damage. It's essentially the multiplier that determines how much damage a critical hit will do. Will it be 150%, 200%, and so on? The critical damage stat is now going to be moved to the forefront and will be displayed directly alongside the rest of your stats, where the critical chance once was, and the critical chance has been moved up to be on the same line as the weapon it's for. But with a new stat, we of course added some relics that influence critical damage. Relics are the randomly generated power-ups found within the Ancient Dungeon which modify your stats. We make it a point to introduce more relics in each update, as they're an integral part of what makes our game so replayable. We've made more than 170 relics so far, so let us know if you'd be interested in a devlog detailing our approach to random roguelike power-ups in the comment section. For now, let's just take a look at the new ones. One of the new critical damage relics, Cruel Screw, was shown off early on all our socials, and you had a bunch of great guesses as to what it does. Some of you even correctly guessed that this relic will give a big bonus at the cost of a downside. For you see, Cruel Screw drastically increases your critical damage, but your critical chance gets capped at a certain percentage. We're also adding the Scarred Pincers, which significantly increases critical damage, and Crushing Jaws, which massively increases critical damage, but lowers your overall critical chance. Furthermore, we're adding 5 other relics not directly tied to critical damage. First up is Volatile Heart, which is a new protection heart type, which will damage nearby enemies when it's destroyed. Ramhorn is going to significantly increase weapon damage, but your critical chance is set to 0. Tuning Fork is going to increase the damage of your next melee attack after successfully deflecting a projectile. Fickle Teetotum will significantly increase one stat, but moderately lower another after completing each dungeon floor. And finally, Ornate Fulcrum. This relic is going to average out all of your stats, so maybe take a close look at your stat spread before picking it up so you don't end up averaging out your stats with a minus 50% discount. But relics aren't the only way we introduce gameplay variety. In our game, you have the choice to use one of 4 unique weapons, but in reality there's way more options with augments. The augment loadouts let you drastically change how any of the weapons function to create new ways to play and tailor the weapon to your playstyle. Some new augments are coming to further expand how players can use our weapons, and you actually guessed one of them. Kind of. See, when we showed off Cruel Screw early, there were multiple comments we repeatedly saw guess that it was going to give projectiles a piercing quality. To those people, I must say, congratulations! You guessed an upcoming feature. It's just not quite what Cruel Screw does. Instead, we have to take a look at the newest augment for the sword and knife, Spiral Etching. When equipped, this augment causes the knife to pierce through and hit multiple enemies in its path, doing less damage with each consecutive hit. Alongside the knife, our other little sharp weapon, the crossbow's dagger, is receiving 2 new augments. First is Porous Grooving, which causes additional poison damage to be inflicted when you strike with the dagger. And additionally, it's also getting Bodkin Blade, which will increase the default critical hit chance of the dagger. Lastly, for augments, we're adding Heavy Charge to the Flail's Bomb. With this augment, the bomb explosion radius will be even larger. Yes, we're letting you make the largest explosion in our game even larger if you so please. And we're also adding a new orb. Orbs are items that contain one of many colorful and even more powerful liquids that provide various effects when cracked open. And as a counterpart to the Magma Orb, you'll be able to find the new Ice Orb. When thrown, the Ice Orb will freeze any enemy caught in its blast radius so you can easily take down your target while they're frozen in place. The merchants also have their own addition that they're excited to show off. This new Bandit box will let you exchange your gold for charging up your marks. Excellent for when there's no enemies left on the floor and you need just that little extra mark charge to get your mark ready for fighting the boss. Why do the merchants have boxes stuffed full of monster souls, you ask? I find it best not to question their practices. I've heard they do some pretty horrible stuff to anyone who gets in their way. We'll soon be wrapping up, but we've got a few more things to show because our players love hanging out in the hub world of our game that we call the Homebase. So a focus of ours has been expanding it with fun stuff to do, like when we added this button that totally does something. Trust me, you just haven't pressed it enough. Or these ladders that let you practice some sick movement tech. For the more relaxed players, we even added a pond where you can enjoy the calm before the inevitable storm with your pals. And now, we're adding this musty wizard hat. We don't really know who left it behind, but they haven't come back from the dungeon to claim it, so I guess you're free to pass it around like a frisbee, or even to yourself, as it can return like a boomerang. In the Stay Together update, our latest update, we added a news board so you can keep track of what's happening with Ancient Dungeon here in the real world. But in the next update, we're going to be improving the way you can keep track of what's happening with your own adventure within the dungeon. First of all, the enemy compendium is getting a brand new layout, so now enemies will be sorted into the floor on which they reside. And in a similar vein, we're adding a checklist of the augment crystals, so you can track how many you've yet to collect, and for a small fee, the seer will give you a hint as to where you can find them in the dungeon. Just don't worry about what she needs the coins for. While we've got a bunch of exciting content coming to Ancient Dungeon soon, it's equally as important that the game works as intended and is accessible to as many people as possible. That's why we've added a new setting that lets you adjust how fast you need to swing the tome before the sweep activates. It could be just a little flick of the wrist or a massive arch. The choice is going to be yours. And this setting was added due to feedback received from our players. If you have any annoyances with Ancient Dungeon, please let us know in places like the official Discord server or in the comment section of this video. As with your feedback, we're going to be able to make this game as good as it can possibly be. We're also adding lobby tags so you can more easily let people know what kind of experience your lobby is intended to provide, and you're going to be able to find lobbies that match what you're currently in the mood for. As always, the list of bug fixes is massive, but some highlights include fixing weapon jittering and fixing teleport movement getting stuck in dialogue. We are constantly working on Ancient Dungeon as it's a true passion project for the entire dev team. And next time, we're super excited to delve into maybe the single biggest addition to Ancient Dungeon we've ever made. An entirely new dungeon generator. But that's everything we're showcasing in this devlog. Next time, we're going to be delving deep into what the new dungeon generator means for Ancient Dungeon, and in the meantime, please let us know what you think of everything we've shown off today in the comments or in our official Discord server. We love to hear your thoughts, and some features you've seen here today are directly influenced by feedback received from you all. If this is your first time seeing Ancient Dungeon and you're interested in giving it a go, you can get it on SteamVR, MetaQuest, and PlayStation VR. Until next time, we'll get back to accidentally adding even more stuff to Ancient Dungeon.